Hey, what's up everybody? Mike here, and today we're going to talk about another topic a viewer brought up. I received a message yesterday asking how I deal with scammers and what I do to prevent them. Now, this is a question that's come up many times over the years. I haven't covered it too much for a lot of reasons, mainly because scamming online is something that's going to happen and people expect it just to go away by taking certain steps. It's impossible to fully prevent, and even though people like to pretend like they have control over the situation, they really don't. When you sell on platforms that are owned by other companies like Amazon, eBay, Etsy, wherever it may be, you have little control over what's going to happen in that situation because you're on a merchant account on their website, so they get to make the final decision whether or not you like it and whether or not it's in your favor. There are a few steps you can take to help prevent scams, but I also want to talk about the way to look at scams, because everyone seems to look at scams as they have to fight every single one. They're not right, they shouldn't happen, all this stuff. While all that's true, life isn't fair and they're going to happen, so get over it. If you sell online on an online e-commerce platform of any sort, you should expect to be scammed at some point. There's a lot of reasons for this. A, it's pretty easy to get away with for scammers now, right? Companies like eBay have really gone to backing scammers, even though clearly they know on their end that there's a lot of scammers getting away with this because of their choices. And B, the anonymous effect. Someone can scam you without ever seeing your face, your reaction. They have no clue who you are. They can make up a fake identity online to buy and sell things, and they have no remorse because there's no physical connection between you and them. And I'm not saying that someone who would scam online would not scam you in real life because they would see you, but it definitely is a completely different ball game scamming someone face to face, whereas doing it anonymous over the internet. So let's talk about how to look at scams. A lot of people have messaged me saying that they want to fight them and they're going to take them to court and all this stuff. While that is fine, if you choose to do that, that is your choice. I don't negate what you're saying. I do not in any way down talk the severity of scamming. I think it's a horrible thing. It's cost me personally thousands of dollars, and I'm sure it's cost other people just as much, if not more. So it's something that should be dealt with and fought to an extent. The problem is you're running a business. Every minute, every second you allocate to not selling and focusing on something else, you're losing money on that outlet as well. So my whole lesson I want to teach everyone here is choose your battles, pick your battles. Figure out what's worth your time more. If it's a small item, like, between $5 and $40, I mean, most of the time, it's probably, unless you know you're going to win the case, it's probably a better bet to let it go and move on and figure out a way to make up the money in the time you would have spent fighting the case. Typically, I make sure the buyer, whoever it is blocked right away, and then I move on with my day. You know why? Because my time is more valuable than the amount of money I'm going to save by fighting the case. So the first and most important thing is just choose your battles wisely. You don't have to fight every scammer case. While it might hurt your pride or it might hurt your feelings, it's the truth of the matter. You're not going to win all the cases. So it's not worth your time to allocate tons of time for a chance to lose. Now, I've fought a lot of scammer cases and won as well. So if you have the proper evidence and you feel you can really make a claim, then definitely fight the case. But here's a number one piece of advice for you to win scammer cases, specifically towards the eBay side. Unfortunately, PayPal and eBay split. But PayPal is still connected to eBay in the sense that you can call their customer support and they'll really help you fight cases. I always, if I'm scammed on eBay, call PayPal customer support and plead my case. They have really good reps at PayPal, they really do, and they will help you. Someone tried to scam me, I was actually the buyer, and someone tried to scam me out of $300. They sent me a box full of broken games, nothing like they said on eBay, and eBay actually found in their favor. However, I called PayPal and opened a separate PayPal claim and fought the case with copies of my messages, pictures of the merchandise, what the buyer said the seller said when they wouldn't help me, and I fought my case. And after a week of contacting PayPal support, which was a lot of time spent, they did find in my favor and were able to refund me in full. Now, situations like that, I decide based on the amount of money I'm going to lose. And honestly, the amount of hours I spent on that case probably would have made more money had I been selling things. That's the point I'm trying to explain. But sometimes it's worth it to put in all the effort and fight. Just make sure you're choosing the right battles. There are some ways to prevent scammers though. One of the main ways scammers scam people is looking for listings that they know the seller messed up. So if you post something and like say a shirt and it has a defect you can see in the photo, however you definitely didn't put it in the description, anyone could buy that shirt and then ask for a refund because there's a defect and threaten you with a negative feedback if you don't give them a full refund without them returning it. That's a very simple scam. It's a very simple situation. So always make sure your listings are truly accurate and you inspected the products you listed. The second best way to prevent scammers, at least on eBay, which I think is where they're most rampant, is to set buyer restrictions. I'm going to put a video up in the corner. I hope it's that corner. And I give it a full tutorial on how to set buyer restrictions, and I show you my buyer restrictions. You could set restrictions if they have a certain amount of negative feedback, if they have unpaid item cases, if they don't have enough feedback. So I've set those probably 3 years ago, and it has really helped with my scamming. As a matter of fact, I haven't had anyone try and scam me on eBay over a year and a half, honestly. And so setting buyer restrictions can really help your case and really keep the people preying on new sellers away. The number one thing that gets scammed is electronics, and it's quite obvious why. I can ship you an electronic, and all you have to do is say it didn't work when it got there. Now all of a sudden you're eligible for a refund or a return or whatever, and I have little that I can do to prove you're wrong. The only situation around this is to record your electronics working, but there's still a chance that eBay's not going to find in your favor because they can say, well, it was damaged while it was shipped, or this happened, or that happened. So certain areas like electronics, things that can be fake or people can claim they're fake, counterfeits, any areas that have a lot of those things can easily be scammed. Video games are actually a very high risk sale. Granted, if you know a lot about video games, it's pretty easy to protect yourself, but it's really easy for a buyer to say, hey, this game didn't work when it arrived, even if it did, and then ship you back a broken game. So be smart about what you sell, set your buyer restrictions, and in general, just make sure your listings are accurate. That'll help reduce scamming. But as far as actually dealing with scammers, my suggestion is always choose your battles wisely and don't dwell over it, man. Move on. Like, it's business. It's online business. There's a high risk of scamming. You should know this going in. If in your head you're like, this isn't good, I don't want to deal with business where there's a high risk of scamming, then you shouldn't be selling on the line because it's the #1 place for scammers in the world. It makes it so easy for them. Now, something really important here is the fact that scams and bad debts can be written off. I was watching the Reseller Roundtable, and I mentioned in the comments because they were talking about scamming as well, and Pete said that some guy tried to scam him out of a receiver, I believe, and saying that it didn't work or it blew up or whatever, I don't remember. And I was explaining to them that in the chat that you can write this stuff off. If you have a registered business of any sort, there is a section on your tax forms that is reserved for bad debts. Basically, a certain percentage of your gross income can be allocated to bad debts. These are things such as returns, damage during shipping, scammers, defective product you may have gotten. All this stuff can be written off. So a great piece of advice on top of everything I just said is make sure you write the stuff off. At the end of the day, you're going to get your money back as long as you have a registered business. And it's totally worth it, to wait till the end of the year, write it off against your profits, and not have to deal with all the hassle. Now, I know there's a lot of people that don't like these answers because they want to be the person that fights it and wins, and they feel like no one is speaking up for the sellers. While I agree, we're all in business. You have to be realistic about what's going on here. If you're allocating all of your time fighting scammers, then you're not allocating all of your time finding new good customers, making new money, sourcing, expanding your connections to be a better business person tomorrow. Fighting scammers is not going to make you a better business person, whether or not you like it. But all in all, the moral of the story is scammers suck. There's nothing you can do about them, so get used to them if you're selling online. I hate them just as much as the next guy, but I'm realistic about the situation. They're going to be around. They're going to take advantage of you. And they're going to cost you money, but you can write it off. You can allocate your time in much better places. So move on and become a better business person for tomorrow. As always, thanks for the questions, guys. I mean, it's like 2 weeks in a row now I've gotten questions that have sparked videos, and I actually like that. I think it's more interactive, and I just appreciate it. So keep asking questions, keep contacting me. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it. If you have any questions about scammers or certain situations, send me a message on Facebook or in the Facebook group, or post in the comments on YouTube. I'll make sure I help you out. I just really don't take what I'm saying wrong. I'm not saying scammers are okay or they should be let go, but realistically, you have to allocate your time properly. You just do. You know, there's only so much time in a day. You're only one person. Your time probably isn't allocated the best if you're just fighting every scam that comes along. But like I said, the video is linked up in the corner. Make sure you check it out if you want to set buyer requirements. And subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate all the new subs so much and the old ones just as much. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you very soon. Tomorrow is the FBA update.